Hey guys, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Carrie and I'm an aromatherapy specialist certified by Dr. Janet Rourke, the essential oil vet. And I wanted to share something I think that truly speaks to how amazing essential oils are. I'm just going to share my screen with you guys because I feel like you need to see the photos to this. So we have an old male bearded dragon. His name is Rez. Sometimes we lovingly refer to him as just the dragon. And like a few weeks before Christmas, he started to open his mouth and he seemed like he was having some trouble breathing. However, reptiles can't regulate their own temperature, so a lot of times they'll just keep their mouths open from time to time. It's not something that they do often, but if they're too hot and they're in their basking area, they'll open the mouth to let off heat. So I figured that's what Rez was doing. But I realized he was getting progressively worse to the point where he wouldn't leave the spot in this picture. And he was just hanging himself vertically with his mouth open and constantly, all the time. And he was really having trouble breathing. You could really see how his abdomen was pulling in as he was really struggling to get in breath. So I also noticed at the same time he had a black spot on the back of his back, which is not normal. So I took this photograph here just to show the vet. And I brought him, so when I brought him to the vet, and just an FYI, there's not a lot of reptiles are difficult to treat because one, they show illness very, very slowly, and then they recover very slowly. So it's a long process generally around it. And then on top of that, there just aren't a lot of qualified veterinarians who deal with reptiles. It's a very specialized field, and they are considered exotics, vets who work in the exotics department. And they often either they're not available, but the ones that are available, I get filled up very quickly. So I made an appointment and he got to see his veterinarian, and the vet looking at him believed that he had pneumonia and also that he either had melanoma or some sort of possible benign tumor. But melanoma and pneumonia are apparently quite common in older dragons, especially captive dragons. So which was not the best news. But he said to bring him back in about a month. And if he had pneumonia, he really wanted to put him on antibiotics. I didn't want to wait the month. And I thought, well, I'm just going to apply what I know about essential oils. Now, in Dr. Janet Rourke's group, we cover a variety of species, of course, but a lot of the material is really about mammals, dogs, cats, horses, more common pets, as well as birds, but not too much about reptiles. And I think, you either love reptiles and you're all in on them, or you kind of don't really like them. So we happen to love our bearded dragon, and I wanted to do the best for him. So I started a protocol immediately of diffusing using a water-based diffuser on an intermittent setting, Air-X, fennel, and cardamom, which are all respiratory support oils. And I also wanted to add an antibacterial oil, which is oregano. The best way to really get to that respiratory system for both people and animals is to breathe it in, because it's going straight through into, hitting the areas that it needs to hit when you're looking for respiratory support. Of course, I didn't like the fact that he might have a possible tumor on his back. It could be a malignancy. So I wanted to start doing something like that for him right away. And although the vet said there really wasn't much we could do about it, especially in an old dragon, again, I know about oils, so I wanted to take that approach. So I made a water spray for him and I applied it onto his back. And this water spray had several citrus oils: lavender, melissa, frankincense, sandalwood, myrrh, and fennel. And I applied that every 2 to 3 days onto his back. Basically, shook the water, because water and oil don't mix. So if you're going to do that, you need to shake that up. And then I would spray my hand, sort of rub him on his back. Well, by January 2nd, Rez definitely started to feel a little bit better. He even asked to come out of his enclosure for the first time. Oh gosh, probably in 3 weeks at that point. And so here is a picture of him hanging out on my son's computer and helping my son study for an exam. And then by January 1st, Rez stopped hanging on his hammock vertically with his mouth open, and he began to actually breathe out of his mouth open only about 50% of the time, and he didn't look like he was really struggling to take the air in. And at that point, he started to hang out on his favorite rock in a more horizontal position more regularly. So I kept up with the diffusing and I kept up with the water spray mist on his back. By February 16th, Rez is really looking like himself again. He's got a lot more energy. He's much more engaged. He's no longer keeping his mouth open when he breathes. The only time he's opening his mouth at this point is really to displace that heat that his body needs to off. And he's happily hanging out basically horizontally on his rock again. His tumor, or the dark spot that was on his back, is completely gone away. However, he did develop a new one on his tail. So I'm going to continue to apply that misting water to his back and to his tail. And I'm going to continue to diffuse his that mix I was having for him, not daily, but if, about 3 to 4 times a week, I've been doing that for him, just to really keep that respiratory support for anything that might be hanging out residually. I just don't want to take a chance. I do believe he may have something systemically going on, since he did wind up getting one more, and this is what the little tumor looks like on scales. So I'll be keeping an eye on that. And like I said, continuing to use that water mist, and I'll check back in with you guys to let you know how that goes. But I really just wanted to share this. This is extremely exciting, not just because I'm an essential oil aromatherapy specialist, but because I think really it shows the power of essential oils, especially in a species that are so slow to show recovery. And we're talking about in less than a month, Rez turned it around, and we, like I said, we just love him to death. So we couldn't be happier. So thanks, guys. Thanks for letting me share.